the weekend of football, and it's still going on.
Yeah, it's been a great weekend of football, all three levels in the state, and it's great slate of games right now ongoing
Right.
during the show, which are fun to keep an eye on, and we'll keep you updated. So yeah, really excited to talk football for the next hour and a half.
Amen. The ultimate pregame show to the Lions,
Hmm.
Eagles, um, and it's going to be. I'd be surprised if it didn't set the Sunday night ratings record for this season,
Hmm.
because there's going to be a monster audience tuning into that game for a lot of reasons, and we'll get to that a little bit later. But as you mentioned, there's some games going on right now, and I'll update those as well as go over the early window NFL games. The Rams in Seattle, both teams come into the game 7-2, tied for the lead in the NFC West, and it's been a defensive battle. It really has. Um, Seattle has been limited to 4 field goals by the Rams defense. The Rams lead 14-12. And Seattle's defense, to their credit, they've done a good job against Matthew Stafford on the last series. Matthew had a chance to hit a long pass down the seam. Devontae Adams had it in his hands, and then it's a catch he's made 900 times, but he wasn't able to. So with just under 2 minutes to go in the third quarter, the Rams lead 14-12. And Brock Purdy's back for the 49ers. And it looks like he hasn't missed a beat. And the 49ers aren't missing many today either, leading at Arizona 28-10 midway through the third quarter. And the 49ers are, nipping on the heels of both the Seahawks and Rams. So, that division is proven to be one of the best in the league. And the debut of Shedeur Sanders, right, Alex?
Yeah, it just happened right before we went on
Yeah,
air. Yeah, it looks like the Browns went 3-and-out on his first drive,
right.
unfortunately, but he completed his first snap, pass on his first snap. So it could be, who knows? Maybe Cleveland finally found their guy. If not,
We'll
they're
see.
used to cycling through quarterbacks, so
Yeah, they
not much
sure
has
have.
changed.
Holy mackerel. Um, and the Browns lead the Ravens, a huge game for Baltimore, obviously, especially with the Steelers winning earlier today over Cincinnati. But the Browns lead 16-10. That Cleveland defense, Jim Schwartz's defense, continues to do a really good job. And 16-10 with about 9 minutes to go in the third quarter. And then the other battle royale, if you will, another defensive battle in Denver. The Chiefs and Broncos are tied 6-6. Just started the second half. And it's been interesting how the defenses have really done well, at least in the late window games so far. But going back to the early window, interesting news out of Pittsburgh, where the Steelers defeated the Bengals 34-12. Aaron Rodgers was injured in that game, and Mason Rudolph came in and did a really nice job. There were some defensive scores by the Steelers, which need to be sort of factored in to the score, the 34 points that the Steelers scored against the Bengals. But the defense for Pittsburgh did a great job, not only scoring the ball, but also limiting Joe Flacco and the Bengals, unlike the last time they played. So a big win for the Steelers, especially when you consider that the Ravens have been playing very well lately. And, the logic favored the Ravens against Cleveland, but so far, no. So we'll see what happens there. Early windows. This one surprises me. Not that Jacksonville won, but the margin in Jacksonville. The Chargers obviously had to make the cross-country flight. They had the night game this past week against Pittsburgh. Big win, impressive win. But Jacksonville, 35-6 over the LA Chargers. So, first-year head coach in Jacksonville, and he's got them playing really well.
Yeah, Cohen does have him playing really well. And this is honestly one of the most impressive games of Trevor Lawrence's career. He was making good throws all over the field, over the middle. Cohen even ran him a few times, especially in the red zone. Trevor Lawrence got a rushing touchdown and just really creatively designed offense. And good for them to do it as well, also without Travis Hunter the rest of the year. So to go out and be able to put on that many points on a very good defense in Los Angeles against one of the best defensive minds in the NFL, and Jesse Minter. Super impressive game for a Jaguars team that isn't really getting enough credit for how good they are this year. Right. They're quietly 6-4, and if they were in any other division outside of the one with the Colts, they'd probably be way more in the thick of it for the division title race. But yeah, this is a team that's looking like they're going to sneak in the wild card later.
Yeah.
And who knows? Once you get in the playoffs, they can make a run.
Right. And that game today was the first they played without their number one pick, Travis Hunter, who's suffered that injury last week, and certainly didn't let it affect them from all accounts. Again, Jacksonville winning 35-6. Buffalo and Tampa Bay was a pretty close game most of the way. In fact, the Buccaneers, Baker and his boys really hung in there for the majority of the game before Josh Allen and the Bills pulled away 44-32, high-scoring game. And the Bills pull out a very, very important game for them, considering the Patriots, how well they're doing, which we will talk about later as well. And don't look now, but the Bears win another fourth quarter last drive game. I mean, it's just, it's not, shouldn't be a surprise now after their fourth straight win or fifth straight win. They beat the Vikings in Minnesota 19-17. And in addition to the Bears winning, JJ had a rough game for the Vikings, which we'll talk about when we come back on Gridiron Wrap, 760 WJR.
Thanksgiving time is here, but not everyone in Metro Detroit is celebrating. Thousands of children, seniors, and families will struggle to put food on the table. WJR and the Chelani Family Foundation have launched Hunger Free in the D, a $200,000 matching gift campaign to support the Forgotten Harvest and the Capuchin Soup Kitchen to provide 500,000 meals to struggling families during the holidays.
So the partnership is very strong. They help out a lot of people. And I felt it was good that Vicki and I and our foundation get behind the two of them. There's a lot of other people in Detroit that really don't know how to give. Where do I write my check to? And how do I make sure that when I do write the check, it's going to the right organization and it's getting spent right?
Let's make sure everyone gets a good meal, especially during the holiday. This is Ken DeLuca from the Kroger Company of Michigan. Let's all support Hunger Free in the D.
Visit hungerfreeinthed.com. That's hungerfreeinthed.com.
You will be facing major retirement decisions soon, and the math should drive every decision. And most people and professionals are using the wrong math. This explains why some families can safely withdraw 7 to 8% annually, while others struggle to spend 4%. Without understanding the math and the proper risk mitigation strategies, fear takes over, leading to undersaving, delayed retirement, spending far less than you could, and paying much more in taxes. Hi, I'm Kirk Cassidy, lead instructor for the Retirement Education Foundation and the co-host of the Retirement Education Hour, heard here Saturday, 6 a.m. and 1 p.m. To understand the correct math that should drive decisions around Social Security, lump sum versus pensions, RMDs, Roth conversions, and when you can retire plus more, attend our 8-hour almost master's level retirement education course. We teach at major universities both in Michigan and Missouri. $29 tuition goes to charity. Go to refedu.org. That's refedu.org. Sponsored by the Retirement Education Foundation, a charitable program.
Don't miss Paul W. Smith's annual pre-parade show starting at 6 and running right up to America's Thanksgiving Parade presented by Gardner White. Thanksgiving morning on 760 WJR. You're listening to Gridiron Wrap on WJR. Sponsored by Skinny Butcher Premium Proteins. Once again, with every football update you need, here are Bill Keenist and Alex Ziolkowski.
Welcome back, everyone, to Gridiron Wrap. And as we mentioned just before the break, the Bears pulled off another late game victory, last drive victory, last second victory with a 19-17 win over the Vikings. And it looks like JJ. This was a game he struggled in. He was 16 of 32 for 150 yards, one touchdown late that put them ahead ultimately, but also had two tough interceptions that really hurt the team. But as you and I were talking about before the show, Alex, teams have film on him now, so it's tough for a rookie anyways. But now that the opposing coordinators and defenses have a chance to look at him over the last few games, it's going to make it even more difficult in what essentially is his rookie season.
Yeah, completely. And also, I mean, the Bears just came out with a very good defensive game plan. They knew how to get JJ uncomfortable. They found ways to get him to kind of throw off his back foot and sail the ball a little bit. And teams know that. Again, we've talked about on the show before. He struggles more with those touch passes than he does as kind of the lasers and fastball. So if he can kind of take away a lot of the throws over the middle of the field where he's good at, and then, try to make him throw in those holes in coverage a little further down the field, you can get some interceptions. That's ultimately what happened. He didn't really look good at all until the last drive where they ended up scoring. But yeah, I mean, that's the growing pains you get with a rookie quarterback ultimately. So, I mean, Minnesota, they're a well-run organization. They need to be patient, but yeah, it's not what you want to see at all today.
No. And I'm sure that, you look back to Caleb Williams' rookie year, you saw a lot of games like you saw today with JJ. And he still has a ways to go, but the bottom line is the bottom line, and that's winning. And I mean, I can't imagine what kind of odds you would have got on the Bears being 7-3 at this point in the season. I mean, there's just no way. But here we go. The other game from earlier today, from Madrid, actually, the Dolphins win again over the Commanders. The beat up, injury riddled Commanders in overtime. Miami wins 16-13. So like we've talked about before, those international games are awesome. When you win, they're horrific when you lose, and you got that long ride home. That's tough. That is just so tough.
Yeah, so, completely. The Commanders they didn't look good this morning at all. They're not adjusting very well to life without Jane Daniels. Understandably, he's a great quarterback, but they need to adjust their offense a little more. I kind of thought Cliff Kingsbury was calling the game like he still had Daniels at quarterback for Mariota, and especially some of the design runs that maybe a rookie Mariota could have done when he was coming off his Heisman. But he's been in the league for 10 years now, and they're just not going to work the same like they would with Daniels. So they certainly have to go back to the drawing board. But man, these Dolphins, they're really starting to kind of turn their season around quietly. They're up to 4-7 now. Everyone was talking like McDaniel is, a coach just waiting to get fired, but if he clearly hasn't lost the locker room yet. They're playing hard, and they might scrap into the playoff watch picture. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs, but they're certainly going to be a team you have to take notice of still later in the year.
No question. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it plays out, and we still have nearly half the season yet to be played, so a lot of football left. Obviously, the talk all week, the anticipation all week is for this game tonight, the Lions and the Eagles. Some tough news earlier about the Lions and losing Sam Laporta. We talked, I think it was last week's show, about how the tight ends have just made such an impact. Speaking of tight ends, Colby Parkinson just caught a touchdown pass from Matthew Stafford, the Rams tight end, and the Rams are about to go up 21-12 with an ensuing extra point. And that score was set up by a Sam Darnold interception. So again, the defense has a huge role in this game out in LA. But yeah, losing Laporta, I'm sure that the coaches will adjust, as will the team, but he was coming on as not only a great receiver, but a very good blocker.
Yeah, completely. His blocking really helped get this run game going. And then it also just really hurts coming off a game last week where the Lions just did a great job play calling wise, spreading the ball around. And we finally saw a lot more Sam Laporta than we had before in the season, a lot more Jamo. So take away just one of those great, reliable targets for Goff. It certainly hurts, especially when you're going into Philly and playing this team with a Lions team that really just caught the injury bug this year, unfortunately. Their injury report's a lot longer than the Eagles right now, and there's so many starters. So it's going to be a tough, gritty game for the Lions. They're going to need some offensive firepower because I'm not sure, especially with the defensive backfield and injuries there. I think the Eagles might be able to get some things going. And even though they've had their own offensive struggles, it's just, you never know.
No, you don't. And I would just remind Lions fans that it's not the Commanders this week. It's the Eagles. And I know that there was a ton of appropriately so discussion and focus on Dan Campbell taking over the play calling, but again, it's not the Commanders on the opposite side tonight. It's going to be the Eagles, and they're a team that has not only learned how to win, they've mastered it in the last few years, and they did make some trades at the deadline to shore up some spots, and so far it looks like a couple of those players are really contributing.
Yeah, I really like the Phillips trade for the Eagles. I think it was a good. They only gave up a third to get a role player at a place in need. They got Brandon Graham to come out of retirement before the trade deadline, literally days after he was at Michigan Stadium as an honorary captain. But yeah, I mean, the Lions, though, even though they're injured, this is still one of the best offenses in the NFL, as we've seen. And the Eagles have sputtered. If you get them off rhythm, they like that Monday night game against Green Bay, that was not an impressive showing at all. There seems to be AJ Brown isn't happy. He was kind of talking online about that this week, how he wanted people who own him in fantasy. He said they may as well just go ahead and drop him because he's not happy with his target share. So yeah, they haven't had much continuity at coordinator on the offensive side of the ball for years. And I mean, the Lions just got to kind of make this messy for them, and on the defensive side of the ball, and then offense just has to do what they do, keep moving the chains, and don't turn the ball over against this team because the Lions are going to need every possession.
Yeah. One thing I'm going to be curious about is the field condition tonight. And because I believe it's still grass. It's a grass surface, I believe.
It is.
And I just remember the last one recent game there, not the last one, but back, I think Jim Schwartz was our coach, and it was in December, and there was a snowstorm forecast almost all week for the East Coast. And there were a number of games that were in peril as far as that storm. I think Washington had a game, New York, Baltimore. And it came, and wouldn't you know that the Link was the only stadium apparently that didn't have snow removing equipment. Come on.
Wow.
And I attribute that to the fact that Kelvin Johnson was our biggest threat and weapon, and a slow track slows everybody down. And so Kelvin still had a good day, but it definitely impacted us. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out, what type of surface there will be, and if there's any gamesmanship. But the Philly crowd is infamous. But do I think it's the toughest place to play? I think the toughest place to play year in and year out are the places where the toughest teams play. I really do. And Philadelphia has been at the top of the league for a number of years now. So that just makes it tougher. And the fans know. I mean, Philly is a lot like Detroit, a very intelligent, passionate, loyal sports base when it comes to their fans. So from that standpoint, the fans are going to be a factor. They are. But the Lions have prepared for that. Dan Campbell. I mean, it's rare when you have a head coach that can relate to the environment of an opposing stadium like Dan can, as he recalled and created a little bit of a buzz this week in the media with with his times playing there. But give the Philly fans credit. They let you know if you're playing good, let you know if you're not, and I think most athletes love that approach. So with that, we will take another break, and when we come back, we'll talk some college football on Gridiron Wrap. You're listening to WJR 760, the great voice of the Great Lakes.
So, Chuck, tell people why we decided to start a housing show right in the middle of the largest housing crisis of our lifetime.
In 2008, Ken, you and I saw a lot of people being taken advantage of by bad contractors, and we believe there needed to be more honesty and ethics in the industry.
Don't go to a national internet site for a local contractor. Go to the InsideOutsideGuys.com for any and all your housing needs. The Inside Outside Guys, housing information you can trust.
Sponsored by RMR Solutions.
As a homeowner, feel like a pro with products that clean, disinfect, and remove stains faster and stronger. RMR Solutions started with contractors and is now available to everyone. Tackle mold and mildew, grease, soap scum, pet odor, and more with their easy-to-use products, including their fast-acting RMR 86 instant mold and mildew stain remover. Visit rmrsolutions.com and use promo code WJR10 to save 10%.
Hi, it's Paul W. Thanksgiving time is here, but not everyone in Metro Detroit is celebrating. Thousands of children, seniors, and families will struggle to put food on the table. WJR and the Chalani Family Foundation have launched Hunger Free in the D, a $200,000 matching gift campaign to support the Forgotten Harvest and the Capuchin Soup Kitchen to provide 500,000 meals to struggling families during the holidays.
So the partnership is very strong. They help out a lot of people, and I felt it was good that Vicki and I and our foundation get behind the two of them. There's a lot of other people in Detroit that really don't know how to give. Where do I write my check to? And how do I make sure that when I do write the check, it's going to the right organization and it's getting spent right?
Now, as we all prepare for Thanksgiving, let's make a difference for those less fortunate. This is Dave Jurdock from Fifth Third Bank, proud supporter of Hunger Free in the D.
Visit hungerfreeinthed.com. That's hungerfreeinthed.com.
Whether you're starting an office, industrial, public sector, or healthcare real estate project, you're going to have questions.
How should we approach construction?
Are we getting the best real estate advice?
Lots of questions. At Plant Moran Real Point, our multidisciplinary team of real estate experts have decades of experience successfully guiding Michigan's largest real estate projects from concept to completion. Here's our point. To find the commercial real estate answers and guidance you need to succeed, let Plant Moran Real Point point the way. Learn more at pmrealpoint.com.
For many retirees, changes to interest rates could mean your lump sum options will reduce. Choosing between a lump sum and monthly pension options, like all retirement decisions, shouldn't be an emotional decision. It's a math problem. Most people and professionals are doing the wrong math. Hi, I'm Kirk Cassidy, lead instructor for the Retirement Education Foundation, a charitable program, and the co-host of the Retirement Education Hour, heard here Saturday, 6 a.m. and 1 p.m. A complete retirement plan should guide every major decision in order to maximize efficiency. If you want to retire early, spend more, and reduce your anxiety, join us for our near master's level 8-hour retirement education courses where we have taught tens of thousands of families with assets between $1 to $20 million. To register for a course or watch updated webinars, visit refedu.org. That's refedu.org. Classes are held at major universities in Michigan and Missouri. $29 tuition goes to charity. Courses are sponsored by the Retirement Education Foundation, a charitable program.
Help WJR thank our heroes this Christmas. It's WJR's Christmas on Us, our way to honor the dedication and sacrifice of Michigan's active military families and veterans. They make sacrifices all year long. Help us ensure they have a truly joyful Christmas. Do you know a deserving family who serves our country? Nominate them now. WJR's Christmas on Us is proudly supported by Calculus Foundation Repair and Waterproofing, Kearns Brothers, McFarland Painting, and Shelving.com. Visit WJR.com to submit your nomination today and help us give the gift of Christmas.
You're listening to Gridiron Wrap on WJR, sponsored by Skinny Butcher Premium Proteins. Once again, with every football update you need, here are Bill Keenist and Alex Ziolkowski.
Welcome back, everyone, to Gridiron Wrap. We're about little over an hour and a half from the biggest game the Lions have played this year for sure, tonight in Philadelphia. Just a couple updates for the late window games. And Sam Darnold, we didn't talk about it initially, but he's having a terrible day. He just threw his fourth interception, and the Rams have the ball again. And that's how he played in the playoff game against the Rams. I think he had, I'm not sure how many turnovers, but and then I remember the week 18 game, week 17 game last year for the division title when both the Lions and Vikings were tied. And I worked the game for the NFL, and my recollection was they called a great game. There were a lot of plays there to be had, but Sam just overthrew guys, underthrew them, and he just did not play very well at all. And I like him. I think he's had a really good career. It's been a tough go of it for him. But man, 4 interceptions today in a game like this for first place. I don't know what the odds are on overcoming 4 interceptions, but it's got to be overwhelming. And then by contrast, staying in the division, you look at Brock Purdy. He has 3 TDs in his return today, no interceptions. The 49ers continue to lead 35-10, although Arizona is driving a little bit. But yeah, it's interesting to see how Darnold has played in some of these big games. Just not very well so far, with a pretty good running back tandem in Kenneth Walker, who Michigan and Michigan State in the backfield.
Yeah. I also think this Rams defense is also just one of the really underrated units in the NFL. They played great down the stretch last year. And also since Aaron Donald retired, they've just invested so much draft capital and, getting that D-line back up to its former state. I think it's been 5 picks in the top 100 since Aaron Donald retired has been spent on defensive linemen. And I mean, a lot of them have hit Turner, Fisk, Verse. They all look great young linemen, are going to be a really good core for years to come. So, I mean, it's Darnold's not playing well, but the Rams are doing a really good job making him uncomfortable today to get these picks out of him. Yeah,
they really are. And then the Shedeur Sanders update, it's still 16-10 Cleveland over Baltimore. On the last series, he picked up a first down with a little scramble, ran about 6 or 7 yards, and then proceeded to get up and run downfield even further to signal first down. Oh, I got to get in the huddle. So then he runs back into the huddle. I don't know. I don't know how veteran players look at something like that. And then on third down, the same series, he takes about a 20-yard sack when he should have just got rid of the ball. So the bottom line is, the moral of that story is he's learning, and he will learn. So it's probably any experience he has, it's going to help him. If he approaches it the right way in the future, it will help him. And then the other big game, Kansas City and Denver are now tied at 13 at the end of the third quarter. So no surprise there. Just the low scoring, I think, is a bit of a surprise. The Broncos they have the best pass rushing defense in the league and one of the best overall.
Yeah, that Broncos defense is no joke. And also, for some reason, the Broncos offense just comes to life in the fourth quarter, as we've seen multiple times this year. They somehow sleepwalk through the first 3 quarters, but the defense keeps it in them. And then Bo Nix just really turns it on and becomes one of the best quarterbacks in the league in the fourth quarter alone, despite having some pretty pedestrian stats in the first 3 quarters of the game. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this one plays out. It feels like just keep looking for the Chiefs one of these weeks to really just put a team away, because they're really letting teams hang around a lot this year. And with all the talent they have on both sides of the ball, you just expect that. But I guess when you're at the top so long, everyone studied you and your habits so much that and they prepare for you harder. So yeah, it just gets tough.
And with Denver, I'm not saying this plays a factor, but I'm not saying it doesn't. in the fourth quarter, the altitude out there is going to get to you.
Mm-hmm.
They're used to it. They practice in it every day. So that could be, in the game of football, everything matters. I mean, the margin of between winning and losing is, minuscule. So, and even if a team thinks about, like I told you, the visiting locker room, you walk out of the visiting locker room and there's a massive painting of, what is it, 5,128 or whatever, how many feet are in a mile above sea level, just to remind, in this case, the Chiefs, who have seen that, as much as any team in the league. So, yeah, and we'll keep you up to date on the late afternoon games. You had quite an experience yesterday, Alex. You went to watch a football game where Dick Butkus and Gil Sayers used to play football at Wrigley Field.
I did, yeah. I made the trek over to the friendly confines to watch the Michigan take on Northwestern in a game that Michigan fans cannot feel good about at all. I mean, it was a cool atmosphere and all that. Wrigley Field, again, historic venue, but it felt very relaxed overall. I think the 11 a.m. Central kickoff time kind of lulled people to sleep. It was probably 85% Michigan fans instead of Northwestern fans. So all the things like the stadium does to try to hype up the crowd just kind of fell on deaf ears because it was all to help Northwestern, not Michigan. But yeah, talk about a game that Michigan really should have won by 20 points, and instead they had a walk-off field goal at Wrigley. I mean, they outgained Northwestern by 251 yards. Northwestern was 2 for 12 on third down, and Michigan was 10 of 15. But Michigan just had 5 costly turnovers, and they were just really killers, and they were all in the second half. Bryce Underwood's first quarter of the game, I don't know if you thought this as well, but I thought that was the best quarter of football Bryce Underwood has played all season. He came out of the gate on fire, completed his first 9 passes, and looked really calm, poised, composed. And then he misses one deep ball to Donovan McCulley, and you can kind of tell he starts overcorrecting everything a little bit on those deep balls. And yeah, it was just kind of a comedy of errors for Michigan at a certain point. Almost everything that could have gone wrong for them did, but they escaped with the win, and that's all they need to do is not overlook Maryland this week and then had the big one at the end of the month, obviously.
No doubt. And yeah, I mean, that many turnovers and still winning the game is a testament to how good that team can be and is. And they always say, as far as a rookie quarterback or a young quarterback, the most important pass you throw is the next one. Okay. And you got to have amnesia. You got to realize you got to stay away from the turnovers where you can, but you got to just, put the bad throw, the bad play to bed and not allow it to become 2 bad plays, 2 bad throws. I remember, gosh, this is back in the 80s when the Lions were playing at the Silverdome, and we had it must have been 87 actually, because Chuck Long was with us. We drafted him in 86, played very little at the end of that year, and so yeah, it would have been 87, and he was our starter in 87. And Joe Willie Namath was working for NBC. We had an NBC game, and I'm sitting with Joe at practice, and we're watching our offense, and he says, "Got a question for you. What's the most important pass that young man can learn how to throw?" And I grew up in Western PA where Joe Willie was Joe Willie. He was a hero to all of us, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to make sure I don't screw this up. So I think I probably said the out, whatever, the seam, I don't know. And he's like, no. The most important pass Chuck Long can learn how to throw is the incomplete pass. And basically what he was saying, don't force it. Don't force it where there's no one open and it can be picked. Okay. And, don't take the sack either. I mean, sacks are brutal when it comes to scoring drives. It's almost like a major penalty. So he was basically saying, if it's not there, throw it away. Don't get sacked. Don't force the ball, and live to play another down. And I think for years, and it's probably still true, Joe Namath's completion percentage was by far the lowest of any Hall of Fame quarterback. So he not only believed that, he played that way too. So, but getting back to the Michigan game a little bit, yeah, that was a tough one, but it's a win. And as you mentioned, as we talked about, when you can have that many turnovers and still win the game, that's impressive. That's really impressive to me.
Yeah, they had 5 turnovers and 2 missed field goals and still were able to win the game, which you just don't see often. There were some bright spots. I mean, Michigan ran for over 200 yards on the ground again. So, again, the run game has really clicked for the Wolverines there. The walk-on Bryson Kuzal showed some good speed and burst. And then also Andrew Marsh, the freshman wide receiver, Michigan really game planned to him. He got 15 targets and hauled in 12 of them for 189 yards. Michigan desperately needs a primary receiver, and he's playing like a freshman All-American. So there are still some bright spots coming out of the game.
No doubt. And we'll talk about some of those in addition to updates on the late window NFL games and some more college football talk on Gridiron Wrap. You're listening to WJR 760, the great voice of the Great Lakes.
Hi, it's Paul W. Smith. Imagine being in such debilitating pain that you crawl into your doctor's office. You're in tears because the pain is ruining your life. You're petrified, thinking back surgery is your only option. This describes a lot of people who see Dr. Saul Kogan at the Nerve and Disc Institute. The good news? His all-natural, non-invasive, non-surgical intradisc neutrosis treatment for sciatica, spinal stenosis, neuropathy, and bulging, herniated, and degenerative discs has helped thousands of people avoid spine surgery. And now, the Nerve and Disc Institute in Farmington, Clinton Township, and Grand Blanc is successfully helping people avoid knee replacements with their Knee Restore RX treatment. Say goodbye to pain and reclaim your life. The first 50 callers mentioning WJR will get 50% off their treatment plan in November. The Nerve and Disc Institute. Call 586-416-DISC. That's 586-416-3472.
Did you know only 40% of people get to choose when they retire? To reduce fear and to understand if you have what you need to give you what you want in retirement, the charity has learned after teaching tens of thousands of families with assets between $1 to $20 million, you have to educate yourself and prepare now. Hi, I'm Kirk Cassidy, lead instructor for the Retirement Education Foundation, a charitable program, and the co-host of the Retirement Education Hour, heard here Saturday, 6 a.m. and 1 p.m. If you're retiring within 10 years or already retired, then join us for our retirement education courses held at major universities and colleges in your area. At this course, we'll teach you how and when to take income from which accounts at what age to minimize taxes and reduce the chances of outliving your money. Join us for our 8-hour, almost master's level retirement course to learn how to retire earlier, spend more, and reduce your anxiety. To find a course in your area, go to refedu.org. That's refedu.org. These courses are sponsored by the Retirement Education Foundation, a charitable program.
Has inflation made you think twice about replacing your windows, roof, or siding? You're not alone. 43% of homeowners feel the same way. Milk, bread, and bananas aren't cheap these days. So call Performance Remodeling. We make improving your home's exterior affordable, even in the age of $8 eggs. We'll give you 3 distinct price quotes on the project you need. Whether it's windows, roofing, or siding, you choose the options package that works for your budget. We also offer no payment, no interest financing through 2026. You don't have to pay a dime until then, and you accumulate not one single cent of interest in the meantime. Don't let inflation delay your project any longer. Call Performance Remodeling at 586-540-6000 or visit windowsroofingsiding.com. That's windowsroofingsiding.com.
Performance Remodeling. Your home is our business.
If you're seriously injured in a slip and fall accident, why would you hire a big TV law firm that advertises everything and specializes in nothing? There's only one law firm that has handled hundreds of slip and fall cases, Michigan Slip and Fall Lawyers. We've recovered some of the very largest slip and fall settlements in Michigan at Michigan Slip and Fall Lawyers. Slip and fall accidents is all we do. Go to falllaw.com now for your free consultation. That's falllaw.com.
Catch up with Dave Llewellyn on his podcast, now available on WJR.com.
Christy Trevorrow, Executive Director of the Rochester Development Authority in downtown Rochester. The Big Bright Light Show. You've added more lights. You're up to what? $1.5 million.
Yeah.
LED lights.
I love the lights. I'll come down and see them every night, but some people want a little something different. So we added some other events to kind of layer the impact so people have more reasons to come. Stay a little bit late because most of the crowd starts leaving around 8, and then you can get the great pictures in Main Street because we don't have to open it till 9:30.
Oh.
Little insider tip for you.
Yeah, there you go.
The Dave Llewellyn Podcast. Go to WJR.com/Llewellyn. That's WJR.com/LEW Llewellyn.
You're listening to Gridiron Wrap on WJR, sponsored by Skinny Butcher Premium Proteins. Once again, with every football update you need, here are Bill Keenist and Alex Ziolkowski.
Welcome back, everyone, to our final segment of tonight's show as we get ready for the national radio broadcast of the Eagles game tonight, Lions-Eagle game, and like we mentioned earlier, Michigan got a win despite turning the ball over. Michigan State had just a tough game. I mean, they played hard, they fought, but it's just probably a reflection of how the season's gone for them. I think we're having some trouble with Alex's microphone. It may be muted some way, somehow.
Oh, yeah.
We got you back? Okay.
No, yeah.
Go ahead.
I was just saying, yeah, it was just a tough game overall for Michigan State. It was they were riding a 6-game losing streak heading into the game. Now they've lost 7 straight Big Ten games. Couldn't really find much going overall on offense. Despite them having a little spark against Minnesota a few weeks ago, it was just tough overall. And yeah, this program just seems to be kind of in a tailspin under Jonathan Smith right now. I don't know. What do you think about Jonathan Smith and the situation in East Lansing?
It's probably a toss-up at this point. You hear rumors and thoughts about the financial reality at Michigan State because of the NCAA sanctions, the Mel Tucker contract. It's still sort of out there in limbo what he may or may not ultimately be owed. And then I think the current coaching staff has contracts north of $30 million. But that being said, in today's college football world, wealthy boosters have a lot of sway, right or wrong. We don't have to like it, but we have to admit it. And you have a couple, boosters that want to help clean the books, so to speak. I wouldn't be surprised if that happened. And again, there's other big time programs that are going after coaches too. And Michigan State is too good of an institution. They're one of the best athletic programs overall in the country. I mean, look at the hockey team. Look at Tom Izzo. I mean, it's now hard to find words to describe, what a great coach and representative he has been for the institution. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. It truly is. I don't think I'd be surprised with either, but I think the pressure will be on unless something dramatic happens in the last couple games. It's going to be hard to justify unless it is strictly an economic decision. And then, try to sell that to your alumni, to your fans, to your sponsors, to your season ticket base. It's a shame, but that's the reality of college sports these days, especially college football.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I will also say for Michigan State, if they do decide to move on from Jonathan Smith, it is a competitive hiring market for coaches right now. However, there is a lot of the good coaches who would probably be looking to move up from the group of 5 to the Power Four who
Yeah.
have ties to the Midwest. And I think it's going to be a lot more of a struggle to these Southern teams because there isn't as many. Like off the top of my head, you have like Jason Eck in New Mexico is doing a great job, has ties to Wisconsin. Matt Entz at Fresno State was at North Dakota State forever, has ties to the upper Midwest. There's a bunch of good coaches in the MAC right now. So I really think, Pat Fitzgerald's still floating around out there as well. Maybe that's a guy, Michigan State. So I actually think it wouldn't be too bad of a time for Michigan State to enter the market as well, especially with Wisconsin and Maryland announcing they're staying with their two respective coaches who are kind of struggling this season. So I think it wouldn't be too bad overall if Michigan State decided to move on from Smith.
No, and I think if everybody acknowledges there's going to be pain and growing regardless of the situation. What you don't want to do in sports is delay the inevitable, in my opinion. That's the worst thing you can do if it's, you're talking football, if it's a quarterback, if it's a head coach. If I think in football, the powers that be in the NFL, the ownership, the GM, you have to be convinced that your coach and quarterback can get you to a Super Bowl. In college, the president, the AD, and yes, the board of trustees, and every school's a little different, but you have to be convinced that your head coach and your quarterback, which isn't as impactful perhaps in college, because from year to year it can change, but certainly your head coach, you have to believe that individual can get you to the playoffs at a minimum, and hopefully a conference championship, a Big Ten championship. So before we get out of here, Alex, just a quick update. Seattle did score. It's now 21-19 with 2 minutes to go in the game. Seattle has all of its timeouts left, plus the 2-minute warning. So this is where the Rams have to get at least one and probably 2 first downs. And on the first play, they hand off to Puka Nacua for about 15 yards. That jet sweep coming underneath. And that was the same play the Rams ran with Cooper Kupp on 4th and 1 in that final drive in the Super Bowl. That was as important a play as you can imagine. They ran it with Cooper Kupp. Matthew handed him the ball, and he went for the first down. This one went a lot further. So the Rams forced Seattle to use one timeout, and it's 1st and 10 for the Rams. Ravens and the Browns are still in a dogfight. Cleveland's still winning 16-13. 49ers, are blowing out the Cardinals 35-16. The Broncos did go ahead. They kicked a field goal. It's 16-13 Denver over Kansas City with still a lot of time left in that game, 11 minutes. And, just want to mention a couple other things in the GLIOC this weekend. Ferris State continued its mastery and its perfect record, winning its 11th game in a row. Hats off to them. Elma defeated my Adrian Bulldogs in a tough, close game to clinch the regular season MAC title for the 3rd time in 4 years. And hats off to Northern Michigan that now won its 2nd game in a row over Wayne State. Unfortunately, our Wayne State team has had a rough year. And Northern Michigan was led by a redshirt freshman from Dearborn, Noah Dobert. I hope it's not Dobert. I think it's Dobert. But listen to this, Alex. 406 yards rushing.
Wow.
4 TDs. And he's only a freshman. And what comes to mind? Gosh, I hope they can keep him at Northern, because and he had 4 touchdown runs of over 45 yards. He can run, he can fly. When he was in high school at Dearborn, he was on all the relay teams, ran the 100, ran the 200. So, obviously a talented young man. And, really hats off to Northern for pulling rank together, pulling things together and winning after a tough couple years, losing the head coach and the interim coach kept them together, and to finish the season with 2 wins is awesome. It's awesome for Northern. So everybody, we're a little over an hour from the big game. So boy, time flew by. Thanks to Danny Gahalen, our producer extraordinaire. Thanks to Skinny Butcher. We wouldn't be here without you. We appreciate you. And most of all, thanks to our listeners. We will be back next week. Lions play the Giants next Sunday. We'll be here after that game. And thanks for listening to Gridiron Wrap on 760 WJR, the great voice of the Great Lakes.
You will be facing major retirement decisions soon, and the mask should drive every decision. And most